Disability doesn't discriminate, and addiction doesn't discriminate. Like the diversity of being a member of a group, like person with disabilities / wheelchair user, whatever you want to call me or call it. Yo, there's every flavor of person from every walk of life. Like there is no discrimination in the same way that like in the rooms of like Narcotics Anonymous, like where I go to my meetings and stuff like that, like every group that you could possibly imagine, like you're in a blender of like beautiful flowers of like all these people that have lived all these different types of life, all ages, all. It's just like, it's nuts because it's like...
It doesn't discriminate.
And
I think some people would like ignorantly be like, oh, well, you're the one who chose to like do drugs or whatever. And it's like...
That's true.
It is true, but it's not that simple always either. Because, I mean, a lot of people get addicted to narcotics because of medical shit. I mean, you were in that boat. You weren't doing like heroin. You were doing pills.
Yeah, my doctors were drug dealers. But what people... This is what I think. People see the using as the problem. They go, oh, well, the drug addict chose to use drugs, therefore it's his fault. He made a choice. He's a drug addict now. That's kind of true. But the using of the drugs is the symptom. It's the symptom of the problem. The original root cause is that you have physical abuse, emotional abuse, traumatic abuse, PTSD. There is something deep in your core that's so fucked up that you can't live the life that you live without some form of escapism. And people find escapism in different things. They find it in their phones, on social media. You find it with online shopping. You find it with sleeping with strangers. You find it with gambling. You can find it in anything, and also in drugs. Like it's a very easy way to escape from your reality. And for me, in my situation, I can only speak on myself. I hated my life. I hated disability. I was tragically depressed, and I used pills to regulate my mood. If I wanted to feel up, I'd take this one. If I wanted to feel down, I'd take this one. If I wanted to feel happy, I'd take this one. If I wanted to do this, I'd take this one. It was just a way to regulate my mood and like modify my reality in such a way because I just couldn't stand to live anymore. Like I didn't want to be a member of this reality because everything else was just better, you know, like, and I think that is like, it's the symptom, it's the final destination. So like you can be like a granny who like breaks her leg and then is like sad because her husband died and then like her kids won't come see her. So she just like gobbles a bunch of pills. You can be a kid from a small town who's got a stepdad who like beats his ass and he can't escape, and then like his brother like introduces him to heroin at 14 years old, and he's like banging heroin because he's like, oh dude, at least when I'm on heroin and my dad beats me up, I'm cool, you know. Like you can find someone in the middle who's like a mom who's stealing their ADHD pills from their kids so they can be more productive at home so their husband doesn't yell at them. Like there's a million different reasons why you use drugs. It's a symptom of root problems.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I feel like all those stories are becoming all too common too. Like people really do sympathize with a lot of those stories. I mean, like, it's fucked up, man.
Yeah, and
what do you think is like the way that we can fix it, especially with the pharmaceutical shit?
It's complicated, man. I mean, I think
there's always going to be people addicted to something.
I think the stigmatization of medication and therapy needs to go away. Like I remember being so ashamed to like be on antidepressants because I thought it was like failing. I thought it was losing. I thought only crazy people or people with problems went to therapy. You're like broken and you need this one little piece to like survive, and you're weak if you take it or something. Yeah. I kind of have a little bit of that still in me. Like I think if I had to be on something like that, I'd have that mentality for sure. Yeah. But it's funny because like I hang out with you all the time. I don't think about the fact, I'm not like, oh, Richard's awesome, he's my best friend, but like wish he wasn't on antidepressants so he could be real or something like that. Like I've never thought that. Well, and there's also a lot of misconceptions that people think like, oh, if I take this pill, I won't be myself. And it's like, well, actually it's quite the opposite. You are depressed. You are currently not yourself. If you take this pill, it will help you function as a regular human being.
And some people report, like, especially with SSRIs and stuff, it's like, it's kind of like a slingshot to like get you back to a baseline. And then if you can wean yourself off, you can. And some people can't do that. Like, absolutely. Like, I think if you can use them in that healthy way, if you're using them as a crutch and you're using them just simply so that you
don't have to address your problems.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest one. It's like especially, dude, like people that are just popping Xanax all the time and shit. Like, oh, I have to fly. Like, it's like, yo, how about you just like
I'm stressed out at work. Pop.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that those fears aren't legitimate.
Pop.
I'm not saying those fears aren't legitimate, but it's like, dude, if you're just popping things for like the littlest problems of like you're just trying to deal with like.
You're using pills to cope.
Exactly. It's like then it becomes a problem.
But those Xanax, for example, is a quick, fast acting where you just like pop it, you're good to go. Antidepressants are something you have to take consistently every day for a long period of time, and then it's a compound effect. There are plenty of effective ways. So I personally can't do this, and I know this because I've tried a bunch of different times. In my drug using days, since I was pretty much speedballing the whole time, I was taking a mixture of uppers and downers and lefters and righters and just everything. I pretty much permanently damaged like the chemical structure of my brain to where the plasticity is kind of just, it's done. So I have to have artificial chemicals in my brain because the chemical making machines are just broken. But there's a lot of people that can use antidepressants for 6 months, for a year, to then be able to have like the ability to have like a gym routine and like the motivation to go like shopping and cooking, to like communicate with friends, to like be easier to get along with, to be able to like set up routines and be able to, find new hobbies. And then they reach a point where you're like, oh, like I'm pretty good. Like life's pretty great right now. And then they can slowly reduce the medication to the point where it's not required anymore because they've used it as a way to help them get back to where they want to be. And, there's just a big stigma around antidepressants and mental health and therapy. And like, I remember growing up, I thought people that go to therapy are crazy people and people that are getting like divorced. Like that's all I thought therapy was for. I didn't know that like regular, normal, healthy people, I didn't know that like therapy was really important. I think therapy is so important because you can't really get it anywhere else. Like, you have your significant other, which
unless you have a podcast.
Yeah. Like you've got your
podcasts are like mini therapy sessions sometimes.
Yeah, it's like significant other or like a very close friend. Like you can communicate regularly with them and back and forth, but neither of you guys are professionals and neither of you guys actually like,
and you can't remove yourself from the situation because if you're like best friends or whatever.
You don't want to like
a therapist is just a third party.
Yeah, it's like a burden, and like everyone's got intentions and motivations, and of course you got your family, and of course you got like your online blog, your Instagram or whatever, but like this is what I think of a therapist. A therapist is your super secret best friend that everything you tell to them they will never tell to anyone else. And there is zero bias because honestly they don't give a fuck about you. They don't care. They don't care. They have no intention. They have no motive. They have no incentive to want to like change you in any way. All they want to do is help you understand yourself so that you can change your own behaviors. So you can change your own limiting emotions and factors and beliefs. So you can figure out like, oh, I thought I was having a problem with like managing my food and like, I thought I had a problem, communicating with my family, but it turns out I actually hate myself because I made a decision when I was younger and I don't like it. So I have to learn how to forgive myself in order to be able to do that. Like you go down to these like deep root causes, and like you can't do that with a best friend. You can't do that with a husband or a wife or a girlfriend because that's asking a lot. That is asking a lot. And then it can put like a damper on the relationship. Like I know I've had experiences where like there was people I hung out with, and every time I hung out with them, they were just like throwing up all their problems on me. And it's like, hey bro, I love you, but I'm not your therapist. Like go find someone else. Like I want to be friends with you. I don't want to like listen to your woes and give you advice all the time. Like that's exhausting.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think therapy is like something that's it's a sounding board almost. It's very important.
I've only gone to therapy a couple of times because when my brother's at boarding school, we did like family therapy, but like there were certain sessions where I was by myself and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's good. Like you said, it's kind of like a sounding board, even just for anybody, even if you're not feeling like you're like struggling or whatever, like even if life's good and stuff.
Even when life's good, you still have stresses. I mean, if you're freaking out about a promotion or you're worried about, making some money, or you're worried about your business expanding, or you're stressed because you're not eating the way that you're normally used to do, and that you're, going to the gym less often, or if you're overwhelmed with the idea of like a task you got to do, like living life is complicated. And especially in today's day and age, it's crazy. And I think if we can just, to the best of our abilities, normalize the use of medications, and I think after therapy, I think therapy step 1, I think medication step 2 to help you with your therapy, because a lot of people leave therapy feeling worse. A lot of people leave therapy shutting down, and then it's not a good situation. Like, you have to have a decent base, or a combination of therapy and medicine, and like it gets to the point where no one calls you like a bitch or like a pussy, or like no one like makes fun of you, or like oh, we got fucking Frank over there taking pills and going and talking to that chick every week. fuck him, man. It's like, no, he's probably like one of the most healthy people.
Yeah.
Out there.
And also, you don't even have to tell anyone you're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. You can keep your medicine a secret. You can keep your therapy a secret. You ain't got to tell nobody. You ain't got to tell your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. You can keep that low key. Like, it.
Do you think it's not immoral, but like a weird thing if you kept it from your like girlfriend or something, that you were taking like mind altering things or whatever?
It's gonna be based on so many different circumstances, dude. I personally don't like feeling like I'm being manipulative or lying or sneaky. I'm pretty like open when it comes to stuff like that. But if you are in a situation where you recognize you're the problem, and you know that the other person probably isn't going to be supportive of that, then yeah, you can go ahead and like, figure that out. Which is pretty cool. I heard someone explain antidepressants like this. Like, they said they went to the doctor, got some antidepressants, went back a month later, and their doctor was like, hey, how's it working? And they're like, I don't think it's working like at all. I mean, everyone else seems to be easier to get along with, but I don't think they're working. And the doctor like busted out laughing and almost fell on the floor. He's like, it's because you're easier to get along with. It's not like,
it's funny.
But yeah, I think there's this crazy thing where like people are using more and more extreme drugs, younger and younger and younger. They're very, very accessible through the internet or through friends. There's a lot of really like dangerous drugs out there where like I even know people that, I mean, these are like ex-users, not currently using, that stopped using heroin because heroin isn't heroin anymore. It's fentanyl, and fentanyl will kill you, because they've had multiple friends like drop dead in a month. They're like, oh, new batch is in town, and like 20 of their using friends just like die.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, guess I'm not using that one anymore, and they'll switch over to something else. Like it's crazy. This got on a whole wild bunny trail.
Hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode that clip was from, you can click right here. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you can click right here. And if you want to watch more clips, we got 2 more right here.